Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and we're back for another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today, I have with us, she's a podcaster. She's a podcast going to be starting mid-September, right in time for the Halloween season, and it's called The Entities. I have with us Kat Clifford. Kat, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hello, thanks for having me.
A pleasure. Now, tell me and my guests a little bit about The Entities.
So it started because I actually was listening to one of my favorite horror podcasts, where they kind of talk about a lot of paranormal instances, and they talked about a thing that I believe was like a creepy pasta, but like before creepy pasta, and it was about caving basically, and it was just like a story that had been posted online, and it was like a caver like writing what had happened to him in a cave, and there was some weird creepy stuff going on, and that kind of like inspired me to write this story, which is set in a bunch of caves up in the Scottish Highlands. I used to live in Edinburgh, and I was a ghost tour guide there, so I'm really interested in that part of like history and scary stuff. So it's all set there, and there's this group of cavers who are all friends, basically head up into these caves that no one really knows about. They get like a tip to go there. And then the weird, creepy stuff starts happening, and they start encountering very strange things that are all like wrapped up in real Scottish history.
Now, this is your first time doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, what made you decide to, you know what, I want to get this out here? And because I'm telling you right now, when I started being a YouTuber, it took me a while to decide to do it.
Yeah.
Because like you doubt yourself. What
Yeah.
made you be like, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and do this?
I think so I've always liked storytelling, and I got to do that. Like I was a tour guide in both Edinburgh and Victoria in Canada. And I also am a filmmaker, but like I'm poor. So I was like, I want to tell these stories, and I've got like all these ideas, and I would love to make them into a film, but like just finding funding, finding people to help, like it's been something I've struggled with a lot. I also move around a lot, so it's hard to get like a network of people. So I was like, this is something I can do with like voice actors, myself, my computer, my stories, and get it out there, and just see where it goes.
And I mean, listen, there's definitely an audience for it because I love a good podcast
Mhm.
that is going to tell me a story and gets me engaged, especially on the long rides I had back and forth and to work and traveling throughout the country. And you do a good podcast, especially on creepy stories. It's definitely engaging.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I have a favorite podcast. One of my other favorite podcasts. They're all generally creepy stuff, serial killers, true crime kind of vibes, or paranormal. My favorite is All Killer No Filler, and it's a podcast I've listened to for like 10 years now, and I think I've listened to every episode like 10 times at least, because I just love it, and I feel like it's like having people I know there in like when I'm driving long distance or whatever. So yeah, I think that's nice. And I think it's something that people, a lot of people don't have a lot of time these days. Everyone's working super hard. There's a lot going on. But a podcast is something that you can do anywhere, on a flight, driving your car somewhere, out for a jog, whatever you're doing. It kind of is a nice thing to have in the background as well.
Now, would each episode have a different story?
So, kind of, the idea is the big base setting is like these cavers, but then each of the entities, which is where the name comes from, that they encounter in the cave, we're going to go into like their backstory and how they ended up trapped in this cave system, basically.
Now, I can imagine it has to be time consuming building a story, but you're also a filmmaker.
Mhm.
Does being a filmmaker help when it comes to making this story into a podcast?
I think it does, because yeah, like it's time consuming, but still, for one thing, when I'm making a like think about having to do this as a film, I'm like, this would take me like 100 times as long, but I can write whatever I want, like and then I'm going through and adding like soundscapes and things like that. And I think having done film, being able to picture how it would look in a film scene, I can be like, oh, okay, these are things that maybe if I hadn't done film before, I wouldn't, have the idea for, like, oh, there needs to be like the sound of drops in the cave at this point, and all these background things that I think making film really helped me to like think about extra while I'm making it. Yeah.
Now, with writing a story by cavers and getting research by cavers, is this something you ever do? Like, I hear people who are cavers. I'm like, wow, I would never fucking do that. I'm such a cautious person, and I've seen the Descent and all these horror movies. Like, do you think by being a horror fan, is caving something you ever do?
I've actually done cave in before. I went to a place called Baker's Pit in the UK, but this was when I was a teenager and I was a lot less scared of things. And even then, I was like, there was some really tight spots to go through. I went with my dad actually, and I was like making him go through first. I was like, I'm not probably doing that unless I see you go through and you're bigger than me first. And I went to the ATM caves in Belize, but they're like big caves. There's only a few bits that are like tight. But yeah, now, like, after writing this story, after listening to that podcast, I don't know if I'd ever go again. To be honest with you. I've scared myself out of that.
Because I mean, you really don't know. I mean, most of these caves they're pretty much vegan or but like some of these caves that are like the unknown, and there's some caves that go and look for these caves that are unknown that no one's been to.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the fuck you're getting into.
I know, and people find weird stuff down them as well. Like, so when I was kind of researching this, like after the initial kind of idea came to me, I sat for an entire afternoon and I watched YouTube videos on like basically like caving, either accidents or near misses or not near misses. And I ended up watching the story of it's called something weird like Silly Putty Cave, Nutty Putty Cave, I think. And it's in America, one of the southern states. I can't remember where, but it was a horrendous story. Like a guy went in and he like got trapped hanging upside down. They couldn't get him out. And he basically was like doing a final phone call via radio with his wife. And then he died down there and they just filled it in and stopped people going to the caves. And it's like, even talking about that right now, my skin is like crawling. It's so terrifying. What a horrible thing to think about. So yeah, all these things, yeah, made me so much more scared.
That's a horrible way to die, to be trapped and just pretty much going to starve to death or even lack of oxygen.
Yeah, or sometimes it's just like, yeah, if you're like, because he was like hanging upside down and that happens quite a lot. So the blood just goes to your head and eventually your organs shut down. It's wild, like horrible way to die. Yeah.
So when it came to you writing the script for this podcast, how long did it take?
I mean, because I want it to be a long running series, I'm still kind of writing it, but the episodes that will start being released in September probably took me, I would say, a couple of months, because I kept writing it and then going back and then having other ideas and then watching more horrible videos and being like, oh, actually, I should tweak this. And like, I hope like if an actual caver could listen to this and be like, okay, this is how we do it. Because I tried to keep it as accurate as possible. I'm sure there's some things that I'm just like, I have no idea because it's not my background. But I want, because it annoys me, if I listen to something that I know lots about and then people get details wrong, I'm like, okay, I like it, but this bit is annoying me now. So.
I'm the same way. Like my daytime job. As most people who watch the show know, I'm a mortician, right? And when I hear people talk about stuff about the dead and stuff, I'm like, that's not true. Like where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
But that's why I try to do a show on a channel called what's it called? Death Care 101 or something. I did one episode and no one watches, so there won't be a Death Care 101 part 2, but we'll see.
Interested to see that.
Yeah, but like, because the common myth is that dead people sit up, and that was the first episode, and it's completely untrue. That's an urban legend.
Oh,
yeah. I feel like a lot of other first responders have lied about, and like it's completely untrue.
Wow, I did not know that. I thought that was true. So there you go. Look, I learned something.
Oh, I wouldn't be in the industry if people were fucking moved and set up. But trust me, I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, that makes sense now.
Now, did you do? Now, you're also doing the voice work on
Mhm,
this. Now, now, did you have to get in a certain type of? Because I mean, pretty much acting. Did,
mhm.
did you have to get in a certain mindset space in order to be this character and what it would be like to be caveman and something bad happened?
Yeah, so yeah, it so I basically I narrate it and I play one of the characters, and then I have a few other voice actors to play the other characters. And I found like narrating it, it was a lot like easier to kind of like not zone out, but like get into a flow and like. But then when I was like, I'm voicing the character, I'm a lot more like it is giving me like I feel like I'm in the situation. Like, so that's been interesting. The character I play hasn't like really got themselves into trouble as far as I've recorded, but there's another character who has, and listening to him, like telling, like acting his parts, like I'm like listening to it, editing it, like, oh no, I don't like it, I don't like it, like I can't do it for a small amount of time.
Yes, because I mean, 'cause that's a whole nother level in narrating and doing voiceover. Because I mean, you're pretty much trying to get the audience into the story
Yeah.
without any type of visual.
Hmm. I hope I'm a good storyteller. I've been told I am from like my tours and things like that. So I think the accent helps, honestly, as well.
So, paranormal ghost wise, listen, have you had any personal paranormal ghost stories?
Yeah, I've had a couple of weird things, but one of the thing that always comes to mind is when I was like a really little kid, like 3 or 4, my my dad was getting annoyed because every night I was like getting out of bed and going into my parents' room. So he like basically put me in my room and was like, okay, well, you can't come out and I'm gonna, keep the door shut. So I kind of like he wasn't saying I'm locking you in your room, but in my head as a kid, I was like, oh my God, I'm trapped in here. And it was after that night that this is gonna sound super weird, okay? So my dad could hear me talking through the door and was like, "What is my? This is really weird and creepy." He said it was like a horror film, and then like multiple nights for like maybe like a 6 month to a year period, I would get up, and I remember this. I could see these two, like they were. This is also weird, but there was a cartoon, but it was of Laurel and Hardy, right?
Mhm.
When I was a kid, and I used to watch it, but there was like these characters, but they were outside my window and they had like this ghostly presence to them, almost see through. And as a kid, I thought there was a man on my roof, which is creepier in a way. I thought there was a man on my roof doing like marionette puppets, and that's what they were. And they would talk to me and interact with me. And they would always try and get me to let them inside through the window. But I'd be like, no, 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 it's okay. I like watching it from here. But as an adult, that gives me the creep. I'm like, what was that? Was that my brain, or was that like a demonic entity trying to get inside my house? Like, it was just the persistence. When I think back, it was like, oh, let us inside. And I was always like, no, I'm good. But like, this is fun. But like, no, let us inside. And yeah, that's to me like the thing that always springs to mind when people ask me that question.
The unknown is the scariest thing, and to not know if that was real or not, it's fucked up.
Right? Yeah. I guess other than that, one other thing I remember quite well is I was in Albania and I was in this like underground bunker that was connected to like I believe it was a civil war that happened there, and they had like the names of a list of people who had like died in the conflict. And I was standing in this bunker in a room on my own, reading these names, and I felt someone grab the back of my arm so strong that I thought a kid had like run in and grabbed me. And I turned around and there was no one there. And when I walked out into the corridor, there was no one there. And I like, yeah, I have no idea what that was either.
Aw. See, I love ghost stories because I've had many of myself. That's why on the channel we also have the Paranormal Experience show where I ask people ghost stories. But yeah, I believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits. I believe they're out there, and like, so I try not to go places where I might run into one.
Yeah, I never got that. I know a lot of people who are like, I'd love to see a ghost. I'm like, I would not. Thank you very much.
It's not fun.
No.
Now, Kat, have you always been a horror fan your whole entire life?
Yes, always loved it.
Well, you know what I'm going to do. I did this with some of my guests. I'm going to ask you three random horror questions. These are your personal opinion, okay?
Okay.
All right. First one. What is your favorite found footage horror movie of all time?
Oof, found footage. Okay. So there's this it's a really random, it's a series actually of films called The Forbidden Documents, and it came out in like Australia, I think, in the 1980s, and it's just all these weird things that are supposed to look like they're like home video, yeah, like found footage, but there's like one that's supposed to be of a mermaid, one that's supposed to be these weird entities in the desert, and there's like a bunch of other weird little stories, and none of them have a solution, and that's definitely my favorite.
Okay, I just wrote that one down.
Yeah.
Second one is, what horror series or franchise do you feel is overrated?
Oh, overrated. Okay, that's interesting. I think probably the Saw films. I really like the first couple of Saw films, but then I feel like they were just doing the same thing over and over again, and it got a bit like, I don't know. It just felt like they were just doing the same thing on repeat. But yeah, I did like the original.
I'm the same way. I enjoyed the first two, and I actually liked the last one. Saw that, but they were pumping those movies out every damn Halloween, year after year after year, and it just seemed like there was no creativity behind it. It was just a cash grab.
Yeah, definitely a money grab for sure.
Final question. I'm gonna give you three horror characters.
Okay.
Which one would you choose to be trapped in a house with for 1 hour and you have to survive?
All right.
Okay. The first one is Michael Myers.
Okay.
The second one is Chucky.
Okay.
And the final one is going to be. I'm going to give Bart the Clown from Terrifier.
Oh, well, definitely not him. He is probably the scariest out of all of them. I'm going to say Michael Myers, and I'm only going to say that because he's super slow. I feel like if you were running fast enough for the hour, you would maybe be able to avoid him. I think the other two would kill you almost immediately.
I agree with you because most people would say Chucky, but Chucky is pretty fucking smart. I don't think Michael Myers is that intelligent.
Right. He's just kind of he's more like a sort of animal. I don't know. Like, yeah, you're right. Also, ventriloquist dolls and anything doll related scares the hell out of me.
But by the way, this is completely one topic but off topic. Why is it in every horror movie when the woman is hiding, it's always a woman character. She's hiding from the killer, and the killer doesn't know where the hell she's at. Mm-hmm. Why is it the whole heavy breathing?
I don't know what that trope is about. I don't know why I feel like that's from back when, and now it's just a thing that people expect, and they always do it, right?
Oh my goodness! If I was like hiding in a closet with anybody and they were doing that, I would push them out of the fucking closet. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Right. What are you doing?
I don't know. That's a good question and a valid one, and I think it needs to be posed to Hollywood.
Yes, because it's so loud. Anybody can hear you.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. That needs to change. There will be none of that in anything I make.
Yes, 100%. All right, Kat, where can everyone find you and your podcast?
Okay, so I'm in the process of setting up an Instagram for it right now and adding it to a server. I think it's probably going to be on Anchor, but it'll be under the Entities podcast. And I will get as close to that with the Instagram name. But right now, you can find me at Filthy Little Rat Bastard. That's my personal Instagram, and I'll start posting and promoting on there. And that will give you a link to where you can find the podcast as soon as it's out.
Awesome. Well, listen, Kat, as soon as that podcast is going up, I'm going to be listening. I'm going to subscribe to it and all that.
Great stuff. Perfect. Thank you very
No
much.
Listen, everyone, look out for the entities coming out soon. And also go ahead and follow Kat on Instagram. Listen, this is yes. If you want some creepy, it's called cavers shit. Fuck with caves. Listen, everyone, thank you for coming to another edition of Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's my homegirl, Kat Clifford. The entities. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.